welcome to the 2018 Chicago Tribune Printers Row Litfest. You're watching Authors Showcase on authorsbroadcast.com. It's been a pretty wet day here in Chicago. You never know what the weather's going to be in June in Chicago, but this turned out to be a pretty wet Sunday here at Printers Row on Dearborn Street. But in spite of that, we managed to do pretty well thanks to the kind people at Byline Bank who lent us the use of their tent. And because of that, we were able to invite a number of authors to come by and tell us about their books, and kept us from having to walk around in the rain. Well, it turned out to be overall a really nice time as usual, and I hope that you will enjoy learning about some of the books and some of the authors that we encountered here this year in the 2018 Chicago Tribune Printers Row Litfest.
And I write love stories for women who thought it was too late to believe. It's pure mind candy for smart women. I'm a geriatrician by training. I realized I was healing hurts that I didn't know I had. So it's really for all of us. And praise God, she's going back to school.
Hello, my name is Jeanette Watts. I am the author of Jane Austen Lied to Me, a lighthearted comedy that is a satire of all things Jane. If you like Pride and Prejudice and zombies and Austen Land and Lost in Austen, you will very much be the right audience for this. If you didn't know what I was talking about with any of the rest of it, you might not get the humor in the book. So I leave it to you if you want to try reading it or not.
Hi everybody, I'm Barbara Barnett. I'm here with the Midwest Writers Association at Printers Row, and I'm here signing copies of my two books, the Bram Stoker Award-nominated The Apothecary's Curse, which also won at Killer Nashville last year. It is a gas lamp fantasy mystery. I'm also here signing copies of Chasing Zebras, the unofficial guide to House MD, available on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, or your favorite brick-and-mortar bookseller.
I'm Cindy Schaffer, and I'm at the Midwest Writers Association table. I'm selling my book, Molly's War. It's about my mother's experiences as a WAC, which is the Women's Army Corps, during World War II. She was stationed in England, France, and Germany, and she was in medical intelligence. They were the department that knew where the next battle was going to be, and they would make sure that there were hospital beds and places for people to stay. They would also make sure that the water was okay. In this way, when the army arrived, they would be ready for whatever happened. And my book is available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com.
I'm Irene Rajes. I'm at the Litfest representing the Midwest Writers Association. I have written a book called Finding Peace is My Revenge. It's about an escape from the Holocaust and ending up in Uzbekistan, living among the Muslim population, Uzbek Muslim population, and ending up in 2 orphanages and running constantly. This book is about my trip going back 52 years later to see where I lived and to find my mother's and my little sister's graves in the cemetery. The book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Google, eBay, and many other websites.
Hi, I'm Roberta Stern-Dietzen, and my book is Gypsy Music Street. It is a mother-daughter love story about a Jewish woman who escapes the Holocaust, but is always haunted by the loss of her family who perished in the war, and she always longed to go back one more time to see her her town in Ukraine, but unfortunately she dies before she can do this, and her daughter makes the journey for her.
Hi, I am Megan Mackey. This is my book, The Finder of the Lucky Devil. This takes place in an alternate Chicago where magic and technology are in competition with each other. We follow Rune LaVue. She has a magical talent for finding things. She meets a cybernetically altered corporate spy who wants her to help him find a wanted criminal called Anna Masterson. And the problem is she is Anna Masterson. And he is not taking no go away for an answer.
Hi, I'm Aaron Lawler. This is my book, The Marvelous Paracosm of Fitz Faraday and the Shapers of the Id. It's about a teenage boy, Fitz Faraday, and his girlfriend, Josie Campbell, and his best friend, Hollis. And the three of them warp reality through their psychological powers in order to solve a town murder. They exonerate the town bully and have a court case, and it's a pretty exciting novel.
Oh, say that.
Hi, my name is Botta Gnaeus. I wrote 2 books. One is a family memoirs of our trials and tribulations during the Khmer Rouge era and how we survived the Khmer Rouge and migrated to America. And this is a historical fiction that takes place in the 1920s. It's a murder mystery. It's about a young girl who aspires to be a detective. This story takes place in 1920. During French colonial Cambodia. She's learning to be a detective. Her father is a detective himself, and she's learning the rope from him. She will be his apprentice, and she will solve her first crime, which is sad because it's her friend who will be the victim in this story, and she will find out who the real killer is at the end. Okay, this is nonfiction. It's a memoir of my father. It's a family memoir about my family's trials and tribulations during the communist era. We ran from Cambodia through the landmine-infested jungle, and we landed in Thailand, and we were displaced in the refugee camps in Thailand for 2 years before we received sponsorship to the United States of America, which my father worked hard to apply for sponsorship. Thank God he knew some English and he knew how to write, so that's how you'll find out how we survived the Khmer Rouge and survived the jungle and survived the refugee camps in Thailand and migrated to the United States of America, specifically Chicago.
My name is Christine Kenny, and I'm the Executive Director at Literacy Works. Literacy Works is a member-based organization that works with about 50 adult literacy programs across the city of Chicago and into some of the suburbs. We train volunteer tutors to go out and work with these programs either as an English as a second language tutor or adult basic education tutor. In Chicago, there are over 500,000 people who cannot read or write well enough to take care of their basic needs. So your help is really appreciated. If you're interested in being a tutor or learning more, contact us at litworks.org. So it's www.litworks.org. Thanks.
This is Reno Lovison, the executive producer at authorsbroadcast.com. I'm an ESL tutor at the Southeast Asia Center because I realize that literacy and the ability to communicate effectively is fundamental to personal growth and advanced employment opportunities, especially for immigrants who did not learn English as their first language. Please join me by becoming a volunteer tutor at the Southeast Asia Center near Broadway and Foster, or visit literacyworks.org to find other organizations that can use your help.
went to a Rod Stewart concert, and they encouraged.
Hi, I'm Tanya Solomon, and I co-wrote 2 books with my father, Bruce Chudikoff. The first, The Key to the Map, is a father-daughter team who find the lost Ark of the Covenant and stop a terrorist attack and a nuclear war. The second, The Pirate Skeleton, same characters, the father-daughter team again, and they find a fossil that changes the face of human history and have some exciting battles with arms dealers and international intrigue.
All right, hi, this is Andre Tillery. This is actually my first year here down at the Printers Row Literary Fest. I'm down here with my debut novel, The Blood Dim Tide is Loosed. It's an actual thriller about a detective trying to track down a killer that's loose on the Chicago streets. It's an exciting book about a person who might be a little more than human. So for you thriller seekers, slash horror seekers, this is a perfect book for you to get. Please check it out. You can check out my website, www.dreteal.com, and pick up your copy of the book. Thanks.
I'm Adela Crandall-Durkee, and I've written 2 books. The first one, A Ship of Pearl, is about a young boy growing up during the Great Depression, and it's inspired by my dad's life. It's a gentle read. The title, A Ship of Pearl, comes from the poem, The Chambered Nautilus, and the theme running through it is that we take all our memories with us, even when we try to cordon off some of them. So it's good for all ages, G-rated. The second book, The Fable of Little Zuri, is a read-to-me book. It was also inspired by a real person. It's a fable, so it's all make-believe. And it's also about a boy who is separated from his parents. These 2 were published near the same time, so I decided to give part of my profits to help the hungry and homeless of America. So you can get them on Amazon, in the libraries, or on request at any bookstore.
Hi, my name is Greg Hickey. I'm the author of The Friar's Lantern, which was published last year by Black Rose Writing. It is a choose-your-own-adventure novel for grown-ups. So I was born in 1985. When I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, this series of choose-your-own-adventure novels was very popular and was really taking off. And so my book is a more modern take, a more updated take, a more adult take on some of the themes of a choose-your-own-adventure novel, and really using that structure in a way that I think is unique and reflects the themes of this story. So in one storyline, you'll get to play a game where you have a chance to win $1 million, and another storyline you'll have to judge a man in a murder trial, and various other storylines will weave in throughout. If you want more information, you can check out my website, which is greghickeyWrites.com. It's available through Black Rose Writing at blackrosewriting.com, and then on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all the other usual suspects online.
Hi, my name is Luz Stonehouse, and I'm the author of what I refer to as the Twisted series. The first book would be Twisted Intentions. It's about a ex-police officer turned private eye who's trying to raise a daughter on his own. He tries to stay out of trouble. Unfortunately, he doesn't. Second book, or actually this is the third book in the series. This is called Twisted Benevolence. Same character, his name is John Harvard, and he gets involved with a school in Oregon that is harboring kidnapped children of genius quality. It's part of a continuing series of 5 books. 3 have been published. If you want more information, my website is Lew Stonehouse at lewstonehouse.com.
I'm Deb Reports, and I write books that are called the Street Stories Suspense Series. Each one is about a different homeless kid in Chicago that gets into a jam, and my reporter protagonist is the only one that pays any attention to them and helps them get out of the jam. And if you don't like dark and gritty with a few bad words thrown in, I also write under my maiden name of Deb Donahue, which are also mystery suspense, but they're a little more innocent, a little nicer language, a few quirky characters, maybe a little bit of romance thrown in.
Hi, my name is Jo McEntee, and I am the author of Passages. Passages is a book of short stories. There are 24 in all. They all involve love. All of the characters are falling in love, or they have a loving relationship with siblings, with their significant others, with new people, with strangers. They pass from one state of consciousness to another. They are evolving. Passages has adventure, it has romance, it has werewolves, it has every imaginable type of story. So there's something for everyone. Buy Passages, you'll love it.
Hi, my name's Mike Duffy, and I wrote a memoir from Chicago to Vietnam. It's about my year fighting in Vietnam. I'm a Rogers Park kid, grew up just on the north side, and was drafted. The book talks a lot about Rogers Park, the neighborhood. As a kid, 18-year-old, who registered for the draft, and was selected, went into the Army, went on to become an officer, and ended up in Vietnam as the executive officer of a 105mm artillery battery. I landed in Vietnam the first day of the Tet Offensive, and it was brutal. I also discuss in my memoir Coming Home, which was also brutal. We were not accepted in some quarters. We were not thought of as a value to the country. I discussed that. I will say Chicago was very welcoming. In Rogers Park, some of the neighborhood places, I'd go into a tavern, they'd buy me a beer. It was a blue-collar neighborhood, and there we were accepted. In some of the universities, campuses, we were not. Furthermore, this is the 50th anniversary of the Tet Offensive of 1968 and the tumult, and I think this book, my book, might be insightful and certainly let you know from a soldier's point of view what it was like.
Hi, I'm Marc Farina. I'm a native Chicagoan from the northwest side of Chicago, the Montclair Galewood neighborhood. And I became an author for the first time back about a year and a half ago book was released end of October of 2016, and it's Casey and the Flying Fortress. It is nonfiction, and it's a true story about my father-in-law, Casimir Casey Paulinski, who was a bomber pilot in World War II in Europe, based out of England, and flew the famous Flying Fortress, the B-17. He was a South Sider. I married a South Side girl. Unfortunately, I never met my father-in-law. He died after a rather arduous battle with cancer back in the mid-70s. So my wife's family and my wife and her family really didn't talk a whole lot about him or his military experiences, because it had been a very difficult period, over 10 years of him in and out of hospitals and post-traumatic stress issues. So my mother-in-law didn't talk much about it. And when she passed away a few years ago, we discovered all this memorabilia, if you will, stored away that had been kind of forgotten over the last 40 years. And I started doing research out of kind of sheer curiosity. But the writer in me and the researcher in me kept digging, and it became a book over a number of years. So it's a book about Casey and how he got into the Air Corps, and also about the other crew members who I was able to contact or track down, either them or their family members as well. So it's a little bit of both the war and also 60 years later about what I discovered through over 10 years of research. The book is Casey and the Flying Fortress, and it was on display here and featured at the Printers Row Litfest in Chicago, and a pleasure to be a part of that.
Hi, I'm Joyce Hicks, and I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I've been writing novels for the last 10 years. I'm really interested in some of the later times of life that I think get overlooked. So my books are family drama, and the first one that came out is Escape from Assisted Living. Well, about after 2 weeks of playing in the kitchen band, our octogenarian Betty decides she's had enough. So she finds her Amtrak station in Elkhart, Indiana, and takes off for the city. So she has many adventures, including some brushes with the law. And so really the book is about new attitudes towards senior living and towards senior life, that it's not over at 80. There are plenty of more adventures to be had. And her daughter and her husband come to new understandings of their mid-life marriage and how things can change in that. People were so enthusiastic about Betty in the first book that everyone wanted to know, well, now what? So I launched into the second book called One More Foxtrot, and both of these are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or from your local bookseller. This one I got very interested again in family dynamics, and especially what happens when something about family history changes. And this change affects not just the past, but also the future. So in this one, Betty has more adventures. It's even senior romance, which is something very positive, and further understanding of what happens when you have second chances. It's never too late to have second chances. So, as I say, both are available on Amazon. We've had a great day here in Chicago, and this book just came in first in the National Federation of Press Women's Communication Contest. So I was very honored.
Hi, I'm Beverly Flexen, and I'm really excited to be back in Chicago, one of my favorite cities in the U.S. I'm speaking to Napa Connect, a retirement group here, industry group of women, and I was talking today on mindfulness.
The problem is that life intervenes, and we have one last nerve that somebody finally gets on, and we're ready to blow. There are meetings we have to get to, and we get behind that truck doing 20 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. All of a sudden, you get laden with a new boss you can't stand. The job can sometimes get to you. Feeling of being overwhelmed, which is a chronic condition for an awful lot of women. And, just we're not getting enough rest, right? We're not getting enough sleep. So the problem is, while we know we're supposed to do it, it's easier said than done because of all the life issues that come. Spend time meditating, start your day by, being able to be really calm. A lot of us do not have the ability to do that, okay? I have 3 children. We do rescue work. There's 19 animals at my house right now. Sometimes I have more than that. I teach, I travel, I run a business. I would love to get it, but I like to exercise. So I'd love to get up in the morning and meditate too, but that would mean getting up at like 3 a.m. I can't do it. So I've had to think about, okay, how is it that you can get mindful in the day-to-day? To have these little things that you can do throughout your day to kind of bring you back, bring that stress level down. So that's what we're going to talk about. So I think meditation is great. It's not really what we're going to do here. But if you do it, these are enhancements to that. So let's start with the triggers. So the beauty of getting better at this is that our bodies actually tell us when it's time to think about getting more mindful, reducing our stress a little bit. So first thing is to start to get a little more aware of when you are engaging in stressful behavior. So physically, these are things like clenching our teeth. They could be things like, your palms all of a sudden feel sweaty. You realize I've been, gripping my hands. These can be things like stomach churning, shoulders. Anybody ever go for a massage and they say, wow, your shoulders are tight. What's going on with you? Well, how'd they get there? Because that's kind of this buildup, right, that goes on over time.
Mindfulness is one of the things that few of us know how to do well, but all of us need to learn. So I drew on a number of the concepts in my book, Self-Talk for a Calmer You, helping people to have practical, actionable things that they can do each day throughout their day in order to become more mindful. This is just one of my books. I have another one coming out which is on business building for business owners and entrepreneurs. That will be released later this year. And my flagship book, Understanding Other People, The 5 Secrets to Human Behavior, which was a Gold Award winner and international bestseller. So I hope you could find some use in some of the things that I write, and was really excited to be back here in Chicago again today.
Are you ready for school? How about after school and vacation days? Good after-school programs can reduce dropout rates, improve classroom behavior, grades, and even future job performance. Working families and businesses benefit from after-school programs by ensuring that kids have a safe place to go while parents are at work. Southeast Asia Center has a professional, multilingual staff that includes homework help and encourages cross-cultural learning. Enroll your child in a quality after-school program today.